It's Loving the Strange with Carrie Jones and Shaun. Loving the Strange, a podcast for weirdos and those who want to be weirder. Embrace the strange. New episodes every Saturday, live streaming Fridays. Loving the Strange. Check us out. Hey.
Hey, baby, what's up?
Nothing. Welcome.
You gotta speak up, baby. Come on. Get some life into you.
I got no life. So welcome, or that's why we're doing this podcast, Loving the Strange. So welcome to Loving the Strange, the podcast about strange things and why you should love them and embrace it. Embrace the strange. And Dee is here. Hey, Dee.
Hey, Dee.
And Shaun is here. Hey, Shaun.
Hey, baby.
And I am here too.
Hey, Carrie.
Hey, me. So, tonight we're talking about what, Shaun?
Oh, the Mandela Effect.
Yeah. And the Mandela Effect is pretty cool.
It is.
Do you want to explain it, or do you want me to explain it?
I thought you could give like a socially acceptable definition, and I thought I might follow up with some of the memory as opposed to how the brain does it type of things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fair? What?
I said, does that sound fair?
That sounds fair, but it sounds like I have to do all the work. But yeah, it sounds fair. And hey, John Bell. Hey, Coop. Hey, Dee. Hey, John Bell.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks for saying hi in the chat. The Mandela Effect, according to Very Well Mind, refers to, quote, a situation in which a large mass of people believes that an event occurred when it did not occur. The term originated in 2009 by a woman named Fiona Broome after she discovered that she, along with a number of others, believed that Nelson Mandela had died in the 1980s. He actually died in 2013. So they looked at the origins of that, right? And tried to figure out what was going on with all of our brains to think that Nelson Mandela, who is a famous leader in South Africa and noted for being against apartheid, or apartheid, or apartheid, depending on if you're listening to Bono of U2 talk about it or not. And a lot of people thought that he died in a prison in the 1980s, right? And so Fiona was shocked that, quote, such a large mass of people could remember the same identical event in such detail when it never happened, right? And so her book publisher was like, hey, write a book about it, make some money. And so she did.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I have a theory about why people thought that about Nelson Mandela. I think they were confusing him with Stephen Biko, who was a man in South Africa at the same time, the same era. And Peter Gabriel wrote a song about him. And I think that, they just somehow managed to get their South African anti-apartheid activists confused somehow. But Stephen Biko actually died in 1977, so that still wasn't in the 1980s, and he did die in a prison. But that's my only guess for why people messed up the Mandela thing so much.
I don't know.
Yeah. Stevie says, I'd check out Rabbits if people like this subject because it's really fun stuff.
Have you read that?
No.
Me neither.
But I need to, apparently. So that's basically what it's about. And so then it's not just Nelson Mandela that this happens to our brains about, but they coined this after him because of Fiona Broome's epiphany of, whoops, I'm wrong. Is that an epiphany if it's whoops, I'm wrong? I don't know. But there's a whole bunch of different examples of this effect, right?
Hey, time out.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about a little bit about memory in the brain. See,
I would love
That's
to
why
hear
you
it.
had a part and then I was going to have a part. Even though you said you were doing all the work, that's not for how I meant for it to happen.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay?
Yeah.
So all my information is from health.clevelandclinic.org.
That's random.
Well, that's the site.
That's the magic of Google search.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Well, it's not like you got an open book on your desk in front of you, baby. I'm sorry. Anyways, so the brain, the hippocampus, forms your new memories, right?
Yeah. I'm going to form a new memory of this right now.
And all the external stimuli, observations of all kinds, auditory, smell, taste, visual, they all come together to form those memories in your brain.
Yeah.
But memory is reconstructive. And that means there's a lot of influences on the way that we can remember things. According to a Dr. Bonner Jackson, memory is not necessarily a carbon copy of reality.
What?
Memory is influenced by different biases, perceptions, preconceptions, and expectations.
You mean I never won a Nobel Peace Prize? I'm
just
imagining
I just told you that every night as you were falling asleep.
I believe that because you're a manipulative man, Johnny.
Anyways,
every night he whispers, "You won the Nobel Peace Prize."
That's right.
Stop working so hard. It's all okay, Carrie.
And then you elbow me in the forehead. So things can influence your memory. Like you could remember something correctly. But say your friend was there for the same exact event, but remembered something different or wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah.
They're wrong, you're not.
That's really where we go with it, right?
All right.
So to them it's right. So when they tell the story, they're telling their version. To you it's wrong. But after they tell it to you 1,000 times, your brain begins to think that that's right.
Oh.
So
it's almost like...
And it can happen fast. I have a really good example.
Okay, I'm ready.
If I can just say it. Remember we were talking about this 2 nights ago or whatever it was?
No, because my memory is faulty, apparently.
What?
Nothing.
Who accused you of that?
Never mind. It's all good.
We were in bed.
Don't tell people that we
we were getting ready to go to sleep. Like I was really close to sleep and you started talking about it. So excited. Do you remember that?
No.
Anyways,
I repress everything that happens in bed.
You gave me an example of Froot Loops. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Now, can you tell me what you said, please, and the audience?
No.
And this is an example of the Mandela Effect.
I don't remember.
Oh, you got to look it up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember anything. I repress everything. So it's how to spell Froot Loops? Is that the one?
How to spell the fruit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Is it F-R? How does everyone remember? Would be a really good question.
Spelling fruit in Froot Loop cereal.
Which is an American cereal for those of you who are not in the U.S. right now. And it's full of chemicals. That's very bad for you. And I wasn't allowed to eat it, nor could we afford
as a
it.
kid, I think I thought Froot Loops was bad for you.
Really? Because you kind of ate everything.
I eat all kinds of other stuff, but those bright colors, it's like... What was the one thing we heard of as a kid that was bad for you? Like red dye number 7 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Right? So
and cigarettes.
I think that's what made me think that. Anyway.
So it was like the Froot Loops, for those of you who have never witnessed the marvel that is Froot Loops, it had some sort of parrot on the cereal box.
It was a toucan.
Okay, is that a parrot?
I don't know if it's in the parrot family or not.
It's a bird. It's a colorful bird. And there were the Froot Loops themselves are these little circles, and they're all brightly colored, and they're shaped like rings or circles.
Pure fruit. So
and
they're Fruit Loops.
They're supposed to taste like fruit. I didn't think that they.
No, it tastes like food dye coloring.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
So, anyways, what's the common misconception?
So it's whether or not you spell Froot Loops. Here, I'll write. Oh, I did something weird with the thing. All right, so it's whether or not you wrote them F-R-U-I-T loops, right? Or F-R-O-O-T loops.
Ah.
Right?
And what do people believe? The F-R-O-O-T?
What?
What's the misconception?
The misconception is that they're spelled F-R-U-I-T. The actual spelling of the word fruit. But possibly because they don't really have any fruit in them, the company was like, oh, we can't pretend that they have fruit in them, and we will spell them F-R-O-O-T.
That's hilarious. But the reason I asked is because when I think when you originally asked me that question, I gave you an answer.
I don't remember.
And neither do I, but and that's my point, because I was really sure of myself.
You're always so sure of yourself. It's so frustrating.
I think I was wrong.
You're often wrong, and you're still really sure of yourself.
This was the first time ever been. Anyways, I think I was wrong, and you corrected me. But then when I remembered it tonight, I couldn't remember if you had corrected me which version was right.
I was going to sleep. I can't remember that stuff.
Do you see how fast
the brain messes it all up?
Yeah.
I had a client recently who insisted that I told them to do something in their story. Like, we were on a Zoom call, and I was like, the whole Zoom call, Stubby, this is not you. The whole Zoom call, I was like, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. But I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to be a jerk. But I looked up, like, in my packet of information that I had sent them, what I had said was the absolute opposite. Like, I was right, but they remembered me say, and they were very convincing. I had said the opposite, which is why it's good to keep your receipts.
I've had that happen a couple times.
Have you?
Like, I've been dead sure I read something one way and I went back and read it again after getting called on it. Like, oh yeah,
I was wrong.
I mean, it's never happened before the other night. But
no, it was the first time ever, right?
Those other occasions were just lucid dreams.
But it's fascinating, right? Like how Stubby's like, my ears did perk. No, it wasn't you. I promise it wasn't you. But it's fascinating how our brains work and how we mold things into a different reality.
That's fascinating. But to me, it's like every day. No, I mean, for everybody. But what's really fascinating to me is this whole thing with the like, I wouldn't expect to remember something wrong as simple as these things we're talking about.
Yeah.
And have a whole group of people that would swear that they were right and I was right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And people have been in the chat talking about that. Like Dee said, speaking of fruit, the fruit of the loom is a Mandela effect too, because people think that the fruits in the like logo or the tag are in a cornucopia.
You know, you also said this one the other night.
Yeah, I did.
And I was ready to get online and see if you were right or not.
I honestly can't remember fruit of the loom.
You never
other than a whiteness
as a kid.
What?
You never had to wear tidy whities as a kid.
No.
And your little and I bet if your mom even bought female underwear, Fruit of the Loom brand, a lot of times you guys don't have sewn in tags, you know, because you're all tender and stuff. It's more, it's imprinted and it's harder to see and not those bright colors like when I was a boy and I had Fruit of the Looms. The tag is like full color right there in the back. That's how you know which way you're putting your underwear on.
Are you saying female underwear?
Fruit of the Loom
doesn't have tags?
Like a sewn in tag?
Yeah.
Well, I know they do have like the flappy ones that say the size, like those Victoria's Secrets of yours, but I'm talking about a big tag, like an 1.5 inch square, sewn flat onto the underwear, not as a flag, waves around a little bit.
You're killing me. You know what my underwear was when I was a little kid?
I don't know. I don't want to know. I'll take the brand, but I don't want to.
Okay.
Picture.
I had Snoopy underwear.
Oh, but that's not a brand.
And I also had, like, you know, the underwear that said Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, because apparently my mom didn't trust me to know the day of the week, and so I had to check my underwear.
I tell you what.
My mom didn't trust me with much, honestly.
Now that what we're talking about,
yeah,
I just went ahead off the cuff and looked up Fruit of the Loom logos.
Yeah.
And half of the ones that came up first have the cornucopia.
What?
I don't think they're real. I think it's like
Here, I'll go to it.
It's becoming so mainstream.
Maybe they changed it
No,
afterwards.
the written versions say that it was just the fruit.
Really?
Yeah.
Here, I'll share my screen. So for those of you who can see, we see a bunch of Fruit of the Loom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And only one here on Reddit has, oh no, all the ones with the cornucopia are on Reddit.
Oh, I just did a Google search for Fruit of the Loom logo.
That's what I did too.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. So I don't know, man.
Did you hit images?
What?
Did you hit images on your thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
that
I didn't.
Well,
what I'm looking at is the first.
So
search return. That right there.
Yeah.
Is there cornucopias in that? No, it's
No.
not.
Only on this
one.
one.
Different than mine.
Only on this one, which comes from Reddit on a thread that says Mandela Effect.
Oh, wow. Mine's not from Reddit. Oh, well. We got different searches. I mean,
well, yeah, we got different
people. Results in the same house.
Yeah, man. Thank God.
That's crazy.
I know. You'd think they would control us a little more than that. So I guess a lot of people remember this, the Fruit of the Loom, with the fruit coming out of the cornucopia. But the real Fruit of the Loom logo is actually with no cornucopia.
That's what it is right there.
And a giant apple in the center of some grapes and some leaves, which are not fruit, and some little yellow berry type things. I don't know, man.
You don't remember the commercials with the 4 guys dressed in the fruit costumes?
I repressed that too. Anything to do with underwear, I've repressed. Dee says that she remembers the cornucopia, but it's apparently wrong. And then Stevie says, "What about Monopoly Man?" So
Stevie's looking him up. He's throwing
cheater, but Monopoly Man is a really big one too, because a lot of people remember this little guy right here.
You know what? You got me with that one the other night too.
With this.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
A monocle. And Shawnee remembers the monocle.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But apparently he did not have a monocle.
That's crazy.
I know, it's so wild, right?
It's the government conspiracy to make us all go insane.
I think this is the real Monopoly Man, like hanging out at McDonald's,
Yeah.
wearing some Men in Black outfit and some shades,
sucking up the free Wi-Fi.
Dee says that she does remember the commercial, Shawnee.
Oh, Fruit Loom.
Yeah, I don't. I'm so sorry.
That was stupid. They were stupid.
I don't know, man. So Stevie says that he's not looking it up. It's just what he reads when he goes to sleep, which is pretty much, I think, all the time, the poor guy.
Well, the other one he said is also one.
Where?
Like I said, the Luke, I am your father.
Oh, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody remembers from the Star Wars trilogy, Darth Vader saying, Shaun, you want to say it?
No, because I can't do a Darth Vader voice. Just, Luke, I am your father. And I'm not saying the real line.
So it's an Empire Strikes Back, right?
Yeah.
And apparently, like, no one remembers it correctly because the actual dialogue goes, Darth Vader, if you only knew the power of the dark side, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. And then Luke goes, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. And then Darth Vader goes, no, I am your father.
And there we have it, the anime version of Star Wars.
And anyways, the New Yorker actually said that that's the #1 misquoted movie quote of all time.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
Even greater than another one, huh?
Yeah.
Ah.
It's the other one, the Casablanca one?
No.
Oh.
I didn't want to say it. It was the Forrest Gump one.
Oh, you want to do that one? So there's another one from Forrest Gump that everybody remembers correctly. So a moment of silence. Try to remember a Forrest Gump quote about a box of chocolates.
I'm trying to find it right now.
And Shaun will try to find that quote. So how do you remember
it? Here we go.
Life is like a box of chocolates.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
Life. Mom always said, Life is like a box of chocolates or something like that, right?
Oh my goch, yeah.
He
That was as
actually
good as
said-
my Darth Vader.
Life was like a box of chocolates. Not is. It's what? Which makes no sense. That's past tense.
Yeah, man.
But
Maybe
whatever.
we're all just trying to fix it.
Oh yeah, grammar wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grammarly in our head.
Yeah. All right. So the other one is from Casablanca or Casablanca, depending on what part of the US you're from. And everyone remembers like Ingrid Bergman, was that her name? And Humphrey Bogart, and they're like chilling out, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to leave you," and it's so sad, right?
Yeah.
And everyone remembers him saying, "Play it again, Sam," to the
Yeah.
guy who's like playing on the piano, right?
Yeah.
But what he actually says in the movie is, "Play it once, Sam, for old time's sake. Play it, Sam."
Ah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Because that's how I remember it.
Yeah.
Play it again.
Right.
Play it again.
You know what my favorite one is though?
Play
Like
it
the
again.
movie ones.
What?
It's the Jaws one. Do you know the Jaws one?
Oh, you told it to me, but I forgot.
All right.
Oh no, I didn't.
All right. So what does everybody think the big famous line in Jaws is?
We're gonna need a new boat.
A bigger boat, babe.
Okay,
Bigger
new, bigger, whatever. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
They do need a new boat too, but eventually in the movie. But that's not actually the line in the movie. It's not, "We're gonna need a bigger boat," even though we all remember it that way. It's actually, "You're gonna need a bigger boat, not us." You,
right.
You poor.
Because I'm living and you're dying. I already read the script.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's so interesting. So Dee remembers the commercial.
Yep.
John says, "My mom must have bought the knockoffs under Fruit of the Looms because mine had the dudes with the fruit hanging over their junk." Oh no, I shouldn't have read that, John Bell.
I swear I can almost remember that. But, you know, when we were kids, you could go to the flea market and buy knockoff stuff.
In Florida?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had the world's biggest flea market forever.
Is that where your grandpa had his?
Thunderbird Drive-In Swap Shop. Yep.
The what?
It was a Thunderbird. I think it still exists. The Thunderbird Drive-In Swap Shop, I believe it's called, or was called.
Dude, that's an amazing name.
It was a huge drive-in, like 20 or 30 screens. And then during the day on the weekends, it was a flea market. It was probably like 30 acres or something.
You know, I've never gone to a drive-in movie.
Never?
No.
Oh, damn.
I did not grow up in Florida.
Fuel up the jet. We're gonna go to one tonight.
Get the jet ready, man. Coop says that she remembers those four guys. And Susie says, "Fruit of the Loom, weekday undies. In an emergency, your brother's hand-me-downs."
Hey, when I was a kid, I was going to tell you, I swear to God, I hope nobody in my family is listening to this.
Oh, Lord.
But, so, my brother is 13 years younger than me.
Oh, no. Do you really want to go there?
When my mom was super pregnant, she used to wear my dad's tighty whities. And it was horrendous. Just because I had to see it sometimes.
Was that all she was wearing?
We were in a very small house. No, it wasn't all she was wearing, but I could see him. Like she might have had a t-shirt on or something. She was racked with vomititis and stuff frequently. So
what did your brother do?
It was not good at the end there.
So Dee has never gone to a drive-in either. So apparently Dee and I need to make a date somewhere between Georgia and Maine.
In Georgia?
There's gotta be. And John Bell says that the flea market place is still there.
Yeah.
All right. So Dee also mentioned Curious George.
Yeah.
Everybody.
So
moment of silence. Curious George. The monkey in those books, right? Those children's books. They were yellow, I think.
The rain slickers were yellow.
Did
the books yellow too?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I have a lot of yellow in my head when I think of Curious George. Did Curious George have a tail? Boop, 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 boop. Shaun?
What?
Did Curious George have a tail?
No. But I don't know. I don't remember.
You really don't remember?
No, I can tell you that Gonzo played the drums, right?
Gonzo played in the
From
Muppets?
the Muppets.
Yes, but what does that have to do with Curious
I'm
George?
just telling you, that's about as far back as I can remember.
Oh my gosh.
That was a long time ago.
So apparently, did he have a tail? Did he not have a tail? Is anybody taking bets in the chat? Because if you imagine that he has a tail, you're wrong.
That's why I said no, because if he had a tail, it wouldn't be a thing.
I know. But that's so weird, right? Like,
yeah.
George should have a tail. Shouldn't he?
Well, yeah, he's a monkey. Most monkeys have prehensile tails, don't they?
Yeah. That's normally what happens. Maybe something horrible happened. Something horrific happened to George in his youth before he was taken to America. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he could have lost it in a horrible accident. A horrible smuggling accident.
So another big Mandela effect with movies is whether or not C-3PO had 2 golden legs or not.
I never noticed, I guess.
Well, part of one of his legs is actually silver.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
I never noticed.
And you're so detail oriented, right?
Hey.
What?
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Because I just looked this up. Because we were talking about memories, right?
Uh-huh.
And I mentioned the Muppets, and I said that's a pretty old show, right?
Yeah.
And then we were talking about Curious George, right?
Yeah. You're talking about
I was
Gonzo.
comparing a show to a book, right?
Yeah.
But Curious George was on TV.
Yes, he had a TV show.
Yeah. Do you want to wager a guess as to when that aired?
No.
Please?
Dude, you know I'm so bad at TV stuff.
Just a decade.
The 80s?
See, that's what I would have thought too.
I just guess everything's the 80s.
So the Muppets was 1976.
Okay.
Curious George was 2006.
Oh.
That's what I said too.
I was really
I
wrong.
thought it would have been back in the 80s or 90s. But
I was so wrong.
me too.
Whoa.
Hey, Doug Marshall's here.
Hey, Doug Marshall!
He must have taken a break from taking pictures of his grandkids.
I know he has got the cutest grandkids. And he posts them on Facebook and they're adorable at the end. Yeah. I don't remember that, Shaun.
What?
Curious George being in the 2000s.
Oh, me neither. D. Harris had another one.
Oh, all right.
You mentioned.
Here. Okay, so there's a peanut butter. And that peanut butter starts with a J. Do you remember that peanut butter as being called Jiffy or Jeff?
I'm not going to answer. I mean, I can answer, but...
What do you remember? I mean, I know you know the truth now.
Oh, I remember the truth.
Oh, you remember the truth?
Hey, I answered it right the other night.
You can't handle the truth, man.
Well, I was a peanut butter connoisseur as a kid. Turns out the best peanut butter in the world is Winn-Dixie store brand. Used to be called Deep South. I don't know if it's still called that.
I have never had that.
Deep South peanut butter, absolutely best.
Yeah.
Creamy, none of that crunchy crap.
Oh.
Anyways.
All right.
It's JIF.
Huh. So the space shuttle Challenger is one, and that's kind of random. Like, it's very detail oriented, and it's not something I would be detail oriented about. So I don't really have a thing for this one. But apparently, when the space shuttle, I have a really hard time saying that, the space shuttle Challenger exploded in the 80s, right? Yeah. They think it took place in 1985 or 1984, and they're like adamant about that, but it actually happened in 1986. And I don't know, that's just way too detail oriented and time oriented for my INFJ brain. But I guess that's a big
Yeah,
deal.
that's a weird one.
Yeah.
I knew it was 86, but I have a really, really specific
How did you-
connection.
You do?
Yeah, because I was senior in high school and I skipped school. I think a bunch of us did, and we watched it.
You
Watched the
skipped
one.
school?
Well, we live right down the street from the high school, so we just went home and watched it on TV and watched
Dude, that's so naughty.
watched it do that thing it did.
Wait, you were a senior in 1986?
1986 is when I graduated, homie.
Oh.
You should know this.
How would I know when you graduated?
I don't know, math.
Math is so hard for me.
That's all right. I don't know when you graduated either. I can figure it out.
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
I remember this because I think I actually remember it being, oh my God, I do remember it being the wrong year. But I have a really specific reason why.
What's your specific
Because
reason?
I remember being in class with Martha Landry. Martha Landry's, and it was bio, and Martha Landry's dad, which you take as a freshman, and Martha Landry's dad was supposed to be on the Space Shuttle Challenger almost. Like he was like got the last round. He was a science math teacher at McKelvey Middle School in Bedford, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But he didn't make it.
Right.
And Krista McCullough ended up being the one who made it, who was also a teacher from New Hampshire.
Right.
And that makes no sense because that would have been freshman year, but 1986, which would have been 1985.
For you?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
No.
It would have been.
Yes. No.
Would you have
Ooh.
started in 85 and carried over into 86?
Maybe.
Because
If
I
you-
graduated in 86, so that would have been the second half of my senior year.
Right.
So I'm saying that year starts in 85.
Let me do math. You keep talking.
Oh,
I
jeez.
have to do it this
You want to
way.
borrow my big calculator I bought the other day?
Yeah.
No, you got one on your phone, baby. All right. I can't click on people's comments.
Oh, it works. Okay, so let me click on people's comments.
Well,
So Susie says,
George is an 8. Curious George and the Man in the Big Yellow Hat is the title of the original story. Do we ever know his name?
the man in the big yellow
Do
hat.
we ever know his name?
I don't know, man.
Because just calling him the Man in the Big Yellow Hat makes it sound like he stole George from the zoo and just kept it.
I kept him forever.
Yeah.
Is
and
that
just
not
kept
what happened?
But did he steal him from a zoo?
I feel like he stole
I
it
never
from
read that
something.
version.
I feel like he was on a steamship or something. Like,
Oh, so he took him straight from overseas and brought him back with him. It was like Indiana Jones.
I think he saw him on a tree. According to this website I am now on, is telling me I'm right. And
Pulled him out of the tree and took him back to America.
George was living in Africa. He was happily
Yeah.
swinging from tree to tree. And then the man in the yellow hat is like,
See, he's
I
evil.
want him. I bring him home. Which
He's an evil. That's why they never give him a name.
he was evil.
He's
Oh, wait.
He's an animal trafficker.
In the original story, George is popped in a bag and taken on a ship bound for a zoo in, quote, the city. And,
Oh, so did he save him?
and so then Ted, who must be the man in the yellow hat, tells George to go along and play until they get there. And then Ted smokes his pipe while waiting. And then George falls off the ship somehow. The sailors save him. Then Ted and George get to the city and they go to Ted's house so he can call the zoo and say, hey, George is coming. And then George gets curious and leaves the house when Ted leaves the house. And then George smokes a pipe because Ted smokes
does he get
a
stoned?
pipe. Well, he does
They never
find
said what kind of pipe it was, did they?
he does find a stash of balloons and goes up really
Oh.
high.
They sucks all the helium out.
Operative word high. Yeah.
The original versions are always the best, aren't they?
Oh
The stone
no.
ass monkey goes on a little journey in the city. That's what it should
With
have
some
been.
balloons.
That's what it should have been named.
And then he sings that "Would You Like to Fly in My Beautiful Balloon" song that you got in
Oh,
your
that
head the other
doesn't.
day.
That is not a television show theme song.
So Doug Marshall says, my 6th grade teacher called me Fluffernutter, which includes peanut butter. Yes, it's a fantastic sandwich.
Yeah, I used to eat them all the time.
Susie says, monkeys have tails and chimps and apes don't. I guess I just always thought George was a monkey. And Dee says, I've got another movie one. The fact that there isn't a genie movie with Sinbad. It's Shaq. And
now,
it's called...
I was going to mention that one.
Yeah.
Because I saw it on my list and it really caught my eye. Yeah. Like, I would have bet money there was a Sinbad genie movie that I never ever saw, but I know I saw it advertised. Yeah.
But no, like everybody thought it was Shazam and that Sinbad.
Yeah,
like,
I would not have made that mistake. That's friggin' the basketball player. What's his name? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
No.
Shaquille O'Neal. Oh, I thought you said it was Sinbad again. You said Shaq.
Yes.
I got you.
Okay. So, anyways, like everybody thinks that like this movie really existed, and Sinbad knows that everybody thinks it, and like he thinks it's hysterically funny, and like he's even like done parodies of the movie that doesn't exist, which kind of probably helps people to think that it does exist.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder if he's ever done like a comedy routine that kind of imitated that, misbelief or something. Because I might have seen something like that and really implanted it in my head.
Yeah, I can totally see that happening for a lot of people. Sinbad, just making it worse.
I wish I could share pictures.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, so Doug says, why was the second Rambo movie called First Blood? Shouldn't it have been called Second Blood? That's too deep for me, Doug.
Oh, what was it called? First Blood what? Or wait, what was the first movie? Rambo?
Probably.
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, that was way back in the day.
That was my non-violent era.
You wouldn't watch it? Oh, God. Oh, going on a movie date with you would have killed me in high school.
We would have never been a couple.
Well, I would have done it.
We would have never.
I would have done it. I was driven.
Ever been a couple in high school?
Yeah, we would.
No.
Come on.
You
would have thirsted for a more exciting life.
No.
Okay.
I would not. You would have scared me. So, no name on purpose, Stubby says. And Dee says, I thought he found him. And then Doug says, I think the man in the yellow hat is on the sex offender
list. That's kind of
list.
how I feel now. Like something.
No.
You don't wear a yellow rain slicker and a yellow hat. Is that what this? I'm probably remembering that wrong too, but.
It was 1941.
I mean, who wears a yellow hat anyways?
Oh, Dee says that Sinbad swears there is a genie movie.
I swear that too.
It just wasn't released.
Like, I know it in my soul. Like, I think I might have seen it or something. Down there in Florida when I was early young adult, like if you went to the mall, a lot of times they'd have people, they walk around with clipboards and they'd ask you, you ever remember the movie Cadillac Man with Robin Williams?
No.
Well, they would say, hey, will you watch this 2 minutes or 5 minutes of a movie? We'll give you $5 cash and just tell us what you think about it.
Okay.
And I remember specifically doing that for Cadillac Man. And I was like, that movie sucks. And it took many years before it ever came out. But it was pretty much a failure as a movie.
And it's all your fault?
Well, I feel like I might have done it for the Sinbad Genie movie, and it just never came out. That's how much I believe in that movie.
I never got to do that kind of stuff in New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, they target the more populated areas, I think.
I feel so left out.
That's all right.
Stubby says, in the first movie, they drew First Blood at the end. Second movie is Revenge for the First Blood. Ooh. Still didn't watch them. What?
Nothing.
It's so violent.
You ever watch what's that show there?
No.
Come on.
What is it?
If
Ozark?
anybody can hear me. That was the name of the movie. It was with Burt Reynolds. the 4 dudes go on a canoeing trip out in the middle of nowhere, and they end up.
Everyone dies?
They end up meeting. No, they don't know. They not Beverly Hills.
He said Beverly Hills.
Nah. This is a serious movie, not some yokels.
With Burt Reynolds.
Concrete pond.
She's like Bad to the Bone is a song.
No,
Bad.
That's not the song I was doing. It's a banjo. It's a classic fucking song.
Is it the one with the eyes?
Eyes? No.
Okay.
It's coming to me. Hold on a second.
Okay. How about if we...
Deliverance.
There aren't eyes in Deliverance?
Well, there's 2. Right? Maybe 1? I don't know. What do you mean eyes? I was thinking eyes like this. What kind of word clue is that?
I meant like...
Let's start with A. Does it have A's in it?
I think I'm thinking about some horror movie where there's hills. The hills have eyes.
The hills have eyes, yes.
I don't think Burt Reynolds was
This is a realistic movie. Like, semi. I mean, it's not.
No. Susie got it. Susie had Deliverance.
Yeah, thanks, Susie.
I was like, their eyes are watching God. The hills have eyes. Like, I was all over the place in so many wrong ways. Which is the story of my life.
Wait a minute.
Jesus said it sounded like you were singing the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, I can't even remember that one right now.
Oh, no. Really?
Hold on. It'll come to me. Don't look it up, please.
I know it, though.
Okay. Oh, you do?
They're booming jet. Move away from there. California, the place we want to be, and they all ended up.
You don't know what you're saying.
Something family.
Once upon a time, there was a man named Jeff.
Yes, that's it.
The poor thought of something, barely kept his family fed. Then one day he was shooting at some food, and up from the ground came a bubbling crude. Oil.
That is
black gold.
Texas tea.
That's right. That's enough. Let's move on.
Wow, that's impressive, baby.
Wait, you gotta do the next 2.
Okay. So Dee says that the Flintstones is a Mandela effect.
That's right.
Flintstones.
And that's the wrong spelling of it.
Flintstones.
Got
What?
2 T's.
Yes. So some people believe that the Flintstones is Flint stones, or is it Flintstones? Which is it, Shawnee?
T's. Got 2 T's. I already told you.
Are you sure?
Flint. Yes.
Are you positive?
I am.
All right.
If you tell me I'm wrong, I'm gonna cry.
It is with 2 T's.
Yeah.
Whew. Shawnee made it. Susie says dueling banjos is a music piece.
Everybody knows that. not that, but everybody would recognize the tune if they heard it, is what I mean. Unless you're from above, like New York, maybe. I don't know.
Do you think that people have the Mandela effect in their own lives?
Give me a finer example, please.
All right, so
everything we've been talking about can be in your own life.
All right, so okay, on a more...
You mean like personal memories?
Yeah,
yeah.
On a personal memory level, like a bunch of people see the same accident and they all remember it wrong, and the videotape shows it the correct way.
Yeah, definitely.
Or, yeah, like that's a good example, I guess.
Yep.
I feel like my mom reconstructed a lot of her memories so that she could survive mentally.
I think it's a good premise for a book if it hasn't been written.
I think it's probably been written in different ways, but maybe not.
No, not that way. I meant like as a conspiracy.
Oh.
Like when something happens, like it's a huge world event.
Yeah.
Different governments or a secret organization purposefully at a very exactly timed moment throws in different stimuli.
Yeah.
All over the world, like electronically and audibly and stuff, that they've developed that makes people remember things differently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to take over the world, baby.
Jeez. Jeez Louise. So, Susie's, I can't get to the right place. Dee says that Egg McMahon and the Publisher Clearinghouse one is a big one, which we talked about the other night. Shawnee, remember? Shawnee? Are you there,
yeah. I actually probably kind of failed this one.
Yes.
But nothing.
So a lot of people remember Ed McMahon as the Publisher Clearinghouse spokesman, and he gave people giant Publisher Clearinghouse checks. We're all wrong. That didn't happen.
See, I don't think I would have said that.
What would you have said?
That he was just a spokesman, which is still wrong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember him with the checks.
They had more than just the check commercial.
I remember him with the checks. Early on, Stevie talked about the Berenstein Bears versus the Berenstain Bears. It was like one of our very first comments.
Oh, okay.
And that's a big one. And it also has to do with children's books. And so many people believe and insist on Berenstein, Stein bears, versus, but the real books are the Berenstain bears, AIN.
Damn. All my books came from the flea market then. They had E's in them.
No, your memory has E's in them.
Probably.
Doug said, I'm not 100% sure how this relates to the Mandela Effect, Doug, but how about the X-Files episode where the brothers keep mom under the floor and they roll her out whenever they have urges or need a new sibling, and it was so disturbing that they never aired it again?
We just watched it.
We did just watch it.
Not very long ago, actually, and it was kind of disturbing.
It was just gross.
More like Stockholm syndrome there.
That was just gross. That was a gross episode.
It's just, keeping up the family. Gotta keep rolling.
And Susie said John Hopkins. Just say it for me, Shawnee.
Johns Hopkins, not John Hopkins.
What? What do you mean?
At the hospital.
I know what it is. One of my cousins has a degree from there, but I don't.
Or is it a university then? Because hospitals don't give out degrees.
It's a university that's in Baltimore that's connected to the hospital, and there's no possessive, I guess. So people think there's a possessive in there.
I guess.
I did not know that.
And it's all just singular John, not Johns.
Oh. Wait, what?
It's their original name of IHOP. It used to be Johns Hopkins, and they're like, that's too much. So they changed it to IHOP.
No.
The breakfast restaurant.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Or it was the Black Eyed Peas you have on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, the Hoppin' Johns.
Wow.
The Johns Hopkins.
Wow.
I love Hopkins. Anyways.
Wow. So Stevie says alternate dimensions. And I think that's right.
Well,
so that's what a lot of people think about the Mandela Effect. Like, what do they think, Shawnee?
Oh, you know what? This article I had up led in with that for one sentence and then never mentioned it again.
What?
So I don't know, really. Honest to God. I'll read you what it says.
All right.
It says, the concept of the multiverse or multiple realities is a hot topic right now. But the Mandela Effect has a strange, cool phenomena, and they don't never mention anything about multiverse or multiple realities again.
That's so weird.
They just make it as a memory-based thing.
On Very Well Memory, they have explanations for them for the effect, right?
Yeah.
And one of them is false memories, right? Like, which you kind of talked about, right? Like some people have that about Alexander Hamilton. Like everybody learns that he's a founding father, but that he wasn't a president. But a lot of us think, no, he was a president.
Why? Because he's on money?
No, he didn't have money when he started out. But they just like, when they recall Alexander Hamilton, they think founding father. They think Thomas Jefferson. They think George Washington. They think John Adams. They think president. And so it's just like they group it in a place in your brain, right? Because your brain groups things to make things easier. And he accidentally gets grouped over there because he is a founding father. And so those groups overlap in a way that makes our brain hitch a little bit, right? Then
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Always.
Because I didn't say because he had money. I said because he's on money.
Oh!
That's why people might think he was a president.
Yeah, that makes sense too. So confabulation is another reason, and that's just how your brain fills in gaps in your memory and tries to make sense of things, right? It's not like you're lying on purpose, but it's just your brain trying to make story in a way that makes sense.
That suits you better.
Well, no,
you're trying to keep yourself safe sometimes.
No, that's that maybe. And not then there's you. Like information after the fact. So like Sinbad putting out all those parodies misleads us all to think there was an original movie. You know what I mean? Like, or
I think there was.
Or like when a cop interviews someone and has leading questions, those leading questions can make you mislead you into remembering an event incorrectly, right?
My article says that same thing, and that is something that a good like attorney will try to practice that and refine it to how he asks people questions on the stand.
Yeah.
To make them misremember a little bit of their own accord. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just by how they phrase the question.
Yeah. And then there's priming, which means that the factor, according to Very Well Mind, means the factors leading up to the event affects your perception of it. And then there's also alternate realities, which we were just kind of talking about. And I'm going to just direct quote here. It says one theory for the basis of the Mandela Effect originates from quantum physics and relates to the idea that rather than one timeline of events, alternate realities or universes may be taking place and mixing with our own timeline. And so this would be the reason why groups of humans have the same memories that aren't the same as other groups of humans or as reality, because the timeline altered as you shift the realities. And so they say, quote, you aren't alone if you think this sounds unrealistic. Which is just no fun, Very Well Mind.
It kind of does, but on the other hand, it's really fascinating if you think about it. And I'd like to see it like a animated model for that. Because on that theory, if it's only groups of people, it's like when the two realities cross, it's only in a limited space, right? Only certain people get exposed to that alternative one.
Yeah.
But those people are probably all over the place.
Stubby says they're hiding secret messages.
This sounds like another episode for us to do right here.
Yeah, man. As a children's book author, I would like to know what those messages are.
That it's okay to steal apes?
Doug said, I'm sorry, I never knew what today's theme was, so I was just winging it. No, we enjoyed the X-File reference.
That was a great one.
Yeah, it was perfect, Doug.
You can use that on 90% of our broadcasts. It's going to fit somewhere in there.
It will.
That was a horrible episode.
Just like the legless mother on her little thing fit in the hole in the floor under the bed.
Oh yeah, her little dolly.
That was a terrible X-Files. All right, so Stubby says Johns and Hopkins are two different people that founded the university. He's right. Dee says, in another example, the evil queen doesn't say mirror, mirror on the wall in Snow White, but magic mirror on the wall. And I have to tell you, Dee, I knew that one the right way because I used to get in fights with people about it.
Well, why didn't you correct me the other day when I said
it just wasn't worth it. You got to choose your battles, babe. I'm not going to battle over an ancient Disney.
Choose?
Yes, I do.
Everyone.
No. All right, you do this one because it requires talking correctly.
Well, I'm screwing up just saying it. Madeline Ingalls. What?
Madeline.
Oh, well, that's just.
I just say the thing.
Whatever. Madeline Lingles. Do you say lingle like that?
I don't know. Her agent was my
Madeline-
agent for a while.
Madeline Ingle.
No, it's not Lingle.
Madeline.
Why don't you just say it with a wicked Southern accent?
I don't have one.
Well, pretend. Channel it, man.
I'd call this Madeline Langle. Madeline Langle's first name is pronounced with a long E, same as mine. She and I talked about this at a conference where she was a keynote speaker.
That's cool. Susie, we have like a degree of separation because my agent was her agent.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many degrees of separation is it?
I don't even know now.
Well, what was the movie title? Was it 6 or 7?
Oh, the Kevin Bacon one?
Was in it?
I don't know, but it's always about Kevin Bacon, isn't it?
Well, whoever was the star, they were the center of the separation, yeah.
I don't remember. I didn't watch that movie either. Stubby says, and this is an in-joke for both of us, or we're all
living on...
Stubby says, or we're all living on a tumor.
Well, mine's turned inside out then.
Also, I just realized that
living on me. What?
Yeah, they are. I'm sorry. That his photo is of Pete Davidson with Mrs. Trump.
That's awesome. Is that who he's dating now?
No.
Is Pete down at Mar-a-Lago while Donald's in New York?
I don't know. I only just saw that. And Stevie said, and I think this is a really good point. Could it be that some of these are just better than the original?
Well, I think that's the case.
We're making better stories out of the truth of our lives. I think so.
Yeah.
Wait. Coop said Ferry Bueller?
Instead of Ferris Bueller?
Really?
Maybe?
I like it.
I never heard it, but I could see him being called that.
Oh, wait. Susie says Johns Hopkins is the name of one man who was raised as a Quaker and a philanthropist. Now we have different ideas.
Oh, you better look that up.
I'm going to, because I thought Stevie was right. So I'll be wrong, too.
Take one of those commercial time like if this is the NFL.
Oh, no.
This is going to be a long break.
Oh, no.
Come on, baby.
He was. He was a prominent abolitionist.
Yeah?
Yes. Yep, Susie's right, man. He was a Quaker entrepreneur and childless bachelor. Why does that matter? Wikipedia.
He was a rich player.
He was a rich player.
Single and what was it? A prominent entrepreneur
and childless bachelor.
That's right.
And his name comes from the surname of his great grandmother, Margaret Johns. And there we've all learned something.
Yeah, we have.
Oh, wait. Coop said, oops, sorry, Ferris, autocorrect. And Stevie said, my bad. And I thought you were right. So it's my bad, too. I was like, that's right.
That's a Mandela Effect right
I think it is. That's really fun. That makes me kind of happy. What? No?
Yeah. No, that's what I was trying to do with the Fruit Loops earlier. I felt like that affected me, just our conversation.
Oh, really?
2 nights ago.
So apparently the Ferris Bueller effect part is there was a scene in the movie where Ferris is dancing home all by himself, which was a parody to the famous scene from Risky Business where Tom Cruise is dancing in a house in his shirt and his underwear.
What?
But the scene doesn't really exist.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
But some people remember it really clearly.
I definitely don't. There's no way you can recreate that scene if you're walking home from school.
Just like
Tom Cruise slides across the floor in his socks.
But
it's like a hardwood floor. You can't do that outside. You can't. There's nowhere on earth unless the ground's covered with oil or something that you can wear shoes and slide across so smooth. Nor was Ferris Bueller ever in his underwear.
Well, a lot of people remember him in his underwear. And I vaguely remember him doing some weird dancey thing, but I can't remember.
He probably was, and it was probably horrible. And people were like, it's a close time frame, so people were like, Tom Cruise dances much better. He looked better too. So we're going to implant that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Coop says she thinks it was in the trailer for the movie.
I could be too, because I don't always include all that stuff.
Yeah. I have very bad memories about Ferris Bueller.
Why?
Because the one time I was a bad girl in
You got
high
caught.
school was I stayed home from school and then I called the school and I pretended I was my boyfriend's mom to get him to come talk to me on the phone when I was sick.
Joe?
Yeah, and I thought I got away with
And
it.
they're like, that's Carrie Barter.
And I
We
thought
know that voice.
that's the naughtiest thing I ever did. And I thought I got away with it. And then I was at Joe's house and we were watching like a movie of Ferris Bueller. And his mom was like, so Carrie, do you want to talk about how you impersonated me? And I was like, no! And I was so terrible.
That's hilarious.
It was not hilarious.
It
was like the worst.
hilarious.
No, it was not. I'm still so embarrassed that I did that. But it's even worse that I got caught. I didn't get in trouble because the school couldn't prove it was me, I guess. They never even bothered.
No caller ID back then.
No, the only time I got in trouble in high school was for holding hands in the hallway.
What?
Yep, I was holding Joe's hand again in the hallway, and our principal, Mr. Baines, who later became the mayor of Manchester, New Hampshire, saw us and said, "Unhand yourselves." I just started.
What did you say?
I started laughing because it was a pun, and I started laughing, and then he was like, "You in my office now," and I was like, "What? Why?" And he was like, "You're disrespecting me," and I was like, "But it was a funny pun." And I got sent to the office.
Oh, you poor girl.
And then I cried. And
Did
then
you ever get paddled?
And no, and then let me finish my story. And then the secretary felt badly for me, and so she yelled at Mr. Baines and said I was a good girl and he was being ridiculous. And I guess I don't know if they were having sex or something because he listened to her. And then I got sent to the back to class with a late pass, and then I told the teacher why, and then I cried again because I was so upset because that's how much of a goody I was. And then she went and yelled at the principal.
So how much of that do you think is true?
All of it is all true.
I mean, let me rephrase that. How much of that do you think is accurate memory?
It's all accurate. I mean, I made a little gap there about why the principal listened to the secretary and I didn't get in trouble, but oh my gosh, the rest is accurate. It was so ridiculous. I wrote about it in my diary.
Did you?
Yeah, you jerk.
I'm just saying the responsibility. It's been a while.
No. Read this.
Going back to the Fruit of the Loom Mondays.
Because we always should.
No, God. Make sure your first grader's underwear is right side out so your child doesn't get embarrassed in class by a girl reading the label out loud when they bend down to pick up a pencil. Fruit of the Loom, size 6.
Oh, that feels like a true story that Shaun's not going to pretend isn't true just to make you feel bad during a podcast.
What?
Nothing. Doug says,
I think it's a true story.
It's definitely a true story. Doug said, play it, Sam. Not play it again, Sam. We talked about that in the beginning, Doug.
We did.
And Dee said, really, for holding hands? Yes. And he said, unhand yourself, Dee, no matter what Shaun says. That's exactly what he said. And I started laughing because it was ridiculous.
I believe that's what he said.
And then I got sent. I can still remember him going, and me being like, what? And Joe being like, what? And him being like, office now.
Joe didn't laugh?
No. Joe wasn't as fast as I was about puns.
Good Lord.
Stu said the only time men listen to women, possibly. And Dee said she would have laughed too. You would have had to go to the principal's office with me.
Pretty funny.
It was ridiculous.
Actually.
It was ridiculous. Susie said, you know who to ask for the truth. We do, but we're not gonna tell him that you said it.
Oh. No, he doesn't. He's too busy right now.
He's busy right now. Anyway, Dee says, I wouldn't have cared. He sounds like a turd muffin.
He does, actually.
He was a turd muffin. He wore like light blue suits and he was really tall. And
like, when did you go to school in the 70s?
No, that's
Light
why.
blue suits.
That's why it was interesting that he wore those suits. Like, you gotta imagine a tall white man, gaunt looking, with a long face and like a comb over. That was him.
Were you guys like 10 years behind then? Like,
you think everyone in New England was like
this is not
30
my Mandela
years
effect, but I
behind
swear when I
Florida?
first came up to Maine in like 1998, and I arrived at like this same time as the first shipment of Sony Walkmans. It's not that way anymore, but
That's so wrong.
like technology is, it moves fast in general, but for that period, late 90s, early 2000s, it moved fast as hell up here in the Northeast.
Yeah.
I think that was my perception.
I think that you're probably right. Oh, apparently my old principal is still alive.
Oh dear, I hope he didn't hear this.
Oh, he would definitely not hear this. He used to
I'm
be
just
the
kidding.
mayor.
He wouldn't care.
He was a Democrat. And apparently at once he was okay. I don't know. Not to me.
What do you mean okay?
I don't. He was always like, even when I graduated high school, we weren't supposed to cheer or applaud, right?
Man, he was a lame ass.
And when I was early on in the alphabet, because my last name started with a BA, right? And when I started to go across, I think it was like Chris Barnes. No, I was before. I don't know who Chris Barnes was after me, but somebody right before me was pretty popular. And then it was me, and people were cheering either for the person before me or after, or me. I don't know. I honestly don't have any idea. And he barged forward, right in front of me so hard as I was striding to get my diploma that I had to like do like this matrix bend backwards move where I was like, whoa, like in my cap and gown, and my mom and sister laughed so hard.
Did they have to go to the principal's office?
No. And then
Well,
he yelled at everybody.
Wow.
Before I got my diploma. So I had to stand there in the middle of the stage while he was like, no, blah, blah, blah.
He must have been a real turd muffin.
and then it was raining, and our graduation was like in this place. I think it was like a hockey stadium or something, but we had to walk across the parking lot to get there. And all the girls had white caps, and all the boys, because gender, had blue caps for our high school. And the rain made the blue dye on the caps like melt into their hair and run. So some boys had like streams of like dye going down their face. But all the blonde boys, when they took off their hats, had like bluish, yellowish, greenish hair. And my mom and my sister laughed so hard that they peed their pants and also ruined my graduation. The end.
What? They peed your pants?
They peed their pants, not my pants. But yeah.
I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, it was very traumatizing. I'm like, how am I related to you? It was like the worst. I was such a jerk.
Yeah, you should have peed your students all in there.
I have never peed my pants.
Listen, it's like almost 8:10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But read Susie's last thing before we get here. She proves them right.
She says, Shaun, electricity didn't even get to the Bucksport Road from Ellsworth until 1956.
See?
And Dee has a graduation story she's going to tell me later. Yay!
Well, you're going to have to share.
I will.
You got to bring it up for the class.
No, I'll only share if Dee lets me. So, thank you for listening.
If Dee doesn't let her, it'll be an anonymous story next week. In 2 weeks. So.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And I hope all your memories are good ones, or at least.
Even if you got to make them good.
That's right.
Make them good. Have a great weekend.
Have a very good weekend.
Thank
and I'll find the
much.
Outro, which music is from Amazing Who?
Stewie.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you,
Stewie. Thank you for listening to Loving the Strange. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And remember, embrace the strange. New episodes every Saturday, live streaming Fridays. Go get your strange on, friends. Thanks for listening.